Out here in the TRX with Greg. This was supposed to be the way we were gonna go, but there wasn't supposed to be snow on this road because we're in the desert in southern Utah. I know that it snows down here, but it doesn't usually line up with trips that I'm taking. So this should be interesting. The truck has a snow mode, so we'll see. I think we're gonna go for it. Stay tuned. Okay, so we drove back there about a mile. We don't want to go any further, so we're gonna take asphalt down to asphalt and then cut over into Capitol Reef. Greg's never been. We'll take some night photos there, and I think that'll be phase one of this adventure. I think we're about at the summit here. Hopefully, it's pretty snowy. We're gonna dip down into Fremont, and it's looking like we're gonna be taking asphalt all the way to Capitol Reef because we don't want to really go through anything riskier than this. I've never before wished I had a set of max tracks more than I do right now. It's a whiteout. Die. Alright, so I don't know if you can hear me over the roar of burning dinosaurs behind me, but today wasn't too eventful. Most of the dirt road that we wanted to cover was under about 6 or 8 inches of snow, so we didn't feel real comfortable. But we ended up here in Capitol Reef. I don't think you can see too much, but we're kind of at the end of the road in Capitol Reef. We just made dinner on the tailgate so you got massive cliffs, and you can hike back in here. It's like a slot canyon. I've done it before. We didn't do it tonight. Massive cliffs and massive cliffs with a roadway leading out. But yeah, today wasn't too eventful. I think tomorrow we'll get on the backside of Capitol Reef, where hopefully there's a dirt road that isn't under 6 inches of snow. But tonight we're just gonna drive out of here. I think it's probably about 6 or 8 miles on dirt road, and then just hit a hotel and hit it hard tomorrow morning. So I think that's probably about it for today, but the TRX adventure will continue tomorrow. It's about 5:30. I'm just outside of Capitol Reef. There's the moon. Didn't get into a whole lot yesterday, hoping to do more today. Our plan is to drive down the backside of Capitol Reef, like east of the water pocket fold. We're not sure that the road is clear. We're assuming that it isn't. In that case, we're just gonna take the highway further south. So we're still optimistic, but there's just a lot of snow out here. Alright, so we're coming up to Nottingham Road here. You can't really see it, but things are looking up. There's not too much snow around here. There's this water pocket fold district, and here's our turn. Okay, it even has a little sign. Okay, so they've kind of built this up. Capitol Reef started off small, but it's only gonna get bigger. Cool. Just wait until the pavement ends. Walking across the cattle guard here. We just came down into Capitol Reef. We're back into Capitol Reef. We're on private land in Capitol Reef. Sun's starting to peak up, so we're hoping maybe we can be to our vista point by sunrise, but we gotta rip it if that's gonna be the case. Oh, back across this camera. Don't. So we made it pretty much all the way down the road. Here's our turnoff point. So if you go that way, you go down to eventually Bullfrog Marina on Lake Powell. Never been to Star Spring. Boulder and Escalante, that's where we're headed. Right ahead of us are the Burr Trail Switchbacks. You can see them right in there. Then we'll be on our way and up to Boulder in no time. Any of the fears I had about snow turned out to not really be a big deal. This was kind of fun. We got to do it in Baja mode. On to Boulder and hopefully onto even less snowy trails. Nice sunrise.
suddenly dry.
There's not a lot of room for error right now.
No, I'm just thinking.
I should take a moment to appreciate that.
Like, the level of depth potential is high. It's a little squirrely.
Yeah. Oh man, sunrise. All right, we're trying to get up to the Strike Valley Overlook here. There's just enough snow that I'm a little anxious, but we haven't slipped at all yet. We've got the mirrors pulled in because this trail is not really aggro TRX friendly, but in terms of the four-wheel drive systems and stuff, we're at 4 low. Tires are doing fine. They're all terrains, which are much better than mud terrains in this setting. And I'm confident. Snow is about as good as it gets for driving on too. It seems like it's melted a little bit in the prior days and then frozen, so it's really tacky, crunchy snow. And there's not been really, okay, well, there's a pretty long stretch of it right here, but there's been enough exposed dirt that I've been able to keep a tire, at least one of the 4, on exposed dirt, except that's not the case at all right here. Headed up to the Overlook now. This snow is like perfect for driving on, actually. It's really grainy, and it's just, it's ice underneath. Greg had to take his yak tracks off. Okay, we're following Cairns now. Down this way. Maybe we're headed right there. Alright, out here at the Strike Valley Overlook. So this is the water pocket fold. Runs all through here. It's pretty long. It's probably the most prominent geological formation of its kind in the state. And then out here you've got the Henry Mountains, the tallest of which is Mount Pennell. Fairly tall, I don't know offhand. It's not like the tallest in the state or anything. It's far from it, but for out here it's one of the more prominent peaks. And yeah, this is mostly Capitol Reef. It's kind of Capitol Reef backcountry. We hiked to this from about a 3/4 of a mile hike from a parking area, so pretty easy to get out here. A little sunrise going on. Definitely one of the better viewpoints I've been to around here. Okay, we are out here on a pretty nicely maintained, flat, smooth, dirt forest road that also has some snow on it, which has provided pretty much the perfect stage to demonstrate some real fun with Baja mode. So we're already in Baja mode, so I'm just gonna kind of rip it. So the TRX is full-time all-wheel drive. That's a big difference between this and the Raptor. The F-150 Raptor, it defaults to 2-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. TRX, its base drivetrain setting is 4-wheel drive auto. That's as analog as you can get. It makes it a little bit harder to flick the back end out, but we're on snow right now, and yeah, it's not too hard to do still, especially when you're on snow. This kind of power is pretty ridiculous on a dirt road like this. On the highway, just the overall weight and size of this vehicle kind of dilutes the 702 horsepower, but on a dirt road, you can really get a sense of how powerful this thing really is. And then you add in the snow, and there's always power left. I was hardly even on it right there. Then once you're in the snow, you can really have fun with all 702 horsepower. So these trucks are crazy just in how normal they make this kind of driving feel. Like, I'm starting to fishtail coming around bends, but it feels completely normal. I feel completely in control. The undulations in the road surface mean pretty much nothing to you when you're driving something like this. Oh, nice power slide. Really nice power slide. now we're back on asphalt, so hopefully more road like that to come. That's our plan for the rest of today. So, more to come. Now we're in the town of Escalante. It's just like where Hole in the Rock Road is, but we're gonna take a different road over the plateau. That's, you can't really see it, but just trust that it's behind me. Smoky Mountain Road, and that is gonna take us down into Big Water / the Page Kanab area, and at that point we'll probably, I don't know, maybe go to Horseshoe Bend, maybe look at Lake Powell, maybe go look at the old power plant. I don't know yet, haven't figured it out, but we just gotta get over there. Apparently it's gonna be clear. We'll see. This is what a TRX sounds like just idling though. I don't want to know how many gallons of fuel we've used while sitting here, but been averaging about 11.8. Let's see. Rev it. Alright, I don't feel good about that, right?
It rev limits actually.
Yeah, it doesn't make me feel good.
It rev limits at like 4,000.
Alright, well, more to come. Maybe finally in the dirt next time. So we're on this Smoky Mountain Road, and I believe it's the only road that cuts through the Kaiparowitz Plateau. All the others go up and over it, and going up and over means hitting higher elevation. Higher elevation means more snow, so we figured this was our best bet, and it looks pretty good for now. I'm hoping that in a few miles the snow will start to dissipate as we get closer to the Arizona border. I'm imagining that once we're across the Arizona border, the snow is going to be non-existent. I saw that they had highs in the mid-50s over the past few days. So we're almost through this and into the really fun part. All right, we're about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes in. This road was pretty rough, but it's opened up a little bit. We started playing with the different drive modes, and we've got it on a custom setting that seems to work for really rocky surfaces that are undulating but also flat, so it's not quite rock crawling. For rock mode you need it in 4 low, which we don't want 4 low right now, but there's a lot of stuff just like that, like rocks that are popping out of the road, stuff like right here, and denser things like that. So we've landed on a custom setting of our own creation here that involves suspension in Baja mode, the steering in rock mode, and the transmission in tow mode, which seems to be working because it's holding gears. Oh God. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Right. Okay. So yeah, this seems to be working for us. I wouldn't mind if this road ended in about half a mile though. All right, we just made it through Smoky Mountain Road. That's probably the longest, most arduous 4x4 road I've ever driven on. It was long. It was like, I think it was like 60 miles over the Kaiparowitz Plateau. So that's pretty cool. I've been wanting to do that for a while. Now we find ourselves just outside of Page. So Lake Powell is over that way. Here we've got Big Water 14 miles away, and the Grand Bench 27 miles that way. We're just kind of hanging out, eating apples here, talking about what to do. I think we're gonna go to the Grand Bench. We've got the time, and we've certainly got the vehicle to get out there and back, I don't know, as effortlessly as one can get out and back from the Grand Bench. So we're gonna do that, and then I guess head into Page and see what's going on there, and probably crash there tonight. But yeah, we got plenty of time. So I think Grand Bench leads to an overlook of Lake Powell, but there's some pretty good stuff around here. A lot of different rock formations. Behind me there's some castles and cliffs. We just came down a bunch of like cliff road. It's pretty wild, a little bit stressful. Yeah, so off to Grand Bench. So this is somewhat interesting. If you look on the map here, it's showing that an arm of Lake Powell comes right up to about where we are here. Lake Powell isn't actually a lake, it's a reservoir. It should be called Reservoir Powell. It's actually receded a lot over the past several years, and actually none of these areas have water in them anymore. I can tell because there you go, right there. So the map is telling us that this is water, but there's no water down there. So that is formerly part of Lake Powell, but it isn't anymore, and it won't ever be ever again. We decided to turn around. This is as far as we're gonna go. We're just pretty spent from a full day driving off-road. Pretty exhausting, who would have guessed. So I think we're gonna probably head to Page for the night and then see what we can get into tomorrow. But I think that's it for today. Ramp. So at 10.2, we're gonna go straight on to 248 and cross the Navajo Trail.
Okay.
This thing just starts recording. All right, Greg and I are out here in the TRX. We've been out in this thing for the past 3 days now. We took it all the way from northern-ish Utah down to southern Utah, crossed the border down into Page. Much of that was off-road. Now we are driving the northernmost part of the Great Western Trail as it runs through Arizona. We're gonna pop out kind of on the Utah border here in a minute. Now, Greg owns 3 Land Rovers. I own 2 Land Cruisers, so neither of us is really a big, brash truck person. And given that, we couldn't help but see a lot of drawbacks to a vehicle such as the TRX here over the course of the past, I don't know, what did we do, 200 miles off-road? 300 miles off-road? You know, it wasn't really capable of anything that we couldn't do in our own vehicles yet, other than just go really, really fast off-road. It uses a ton of fuel. We've been seeing about 9-10 miles per gallon off-road. It can certainly go fast. It can certainly leave the ground, come back down, and not explode on the landing, which is pretty cool. But just in general, we still were kind of like, yeah, you know, our own vehicles would be a little bit more ideal for this trip in several ways. Then we came out here onto this snow-covered trail. So right now it's pretty shallow, but at first we were in as much as 6 or 8 inches of snow for the first 5 miles of this trail. Enough that when we came up on it, I was a little bit anxious. And then after about 100 yards, 200 yards, we began to see some real merit in this vehicle. Couple reasons. First of all, it has a ton of ground clearance. It's riding on 35-inch all-terrain tires, which are actually pretty good in the snow. It's got a snow mode, which is really cool, and that's really working in our favor here. Previously, we didn't love the supercharger performance on the road. We just haven't loved it because the way it goes, as you depress the pedal, reasonable power, no supercharger, then the supercharger kicks on, you just get this burst of power. But luckily snow mode tamps that effect down a little bit.
I think it definitely helps in the snow by modulating the supercharger. I mean, it kicks in, I think it kicks in slower and later. I don't know that it would work though. I don't think the snow mode would be fun if you were on the road. You know, in a blizzard, you had a couple inches of snow, fresh snow, going to somewhere that you have like a cabin or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have the same dynamic there. But here, where you're digging through some fresh powder, it's fun.
And out here where the road is just kind of an idea rather than a paved straight line.
Concept of a road.
So we've really kind of come to love this thing over the past few miles, at least in this context. You know, our own vehicles might have experienced a little bit of dragging of the differentials. We haven't seen any of that. Power output is pretty impressive. We have to check our map here.
248 or 248A? Straight onto 248. Also, this surround view camera thing when we've made a wrong turn is something I've not really appreciated. I know that, you know, a lot of cars are coming with this. Certainly the newer versions of my beloved Land Rovers come with this. But I haven't really wheeled with it. And it is really nice to both be able to see when you're going forward in a tight trail to see, you know, where your wings are at. And also backing up, especially in snow or a tight trail, to make sure you stay in your tracks. It's a real game changer.
Yeah.
More than I thought it would be.
Oh, and there's also a digital rear view mirror, so I've used that as well.
Which is nice because of being a pickup truck, you know, you flick it to normal and have the things with tonneau.
So just some of the things that make this truck really brash and obnoxious, which may not be for everyone, they do turn into strengths on a trail like this. A lot of people speak to these trucks being really, really wide, but we were on a pretty tight trail back there, and you've got power mirrors, so you just pull those in on the particularly tight parts. There hasn't been any really narrow situations that the truck hasn't fit through too well. The other thing is we've just been cruising at between 20 and 30 miles per hour throughout this trail, and it's not as deep as it was, but it was pretty deep in some spots, and I was still comfortably going over 20 miles per hour. So this vehicle really does shine when the road becomes less of a road and more of just an idea, like it is out here in the snow. And if you've got to drive through deep snow, I don't know how you could really beat this as far as vehicles you can drive off the lot. 35-inch tires, the wide track is pretty nice. Suspension's nice because, again, you can't really tell what's underneath you when it's just all kind of smoothed out by a fresh layer of snow. And we haven't really had to worry about that because the suspension just eats anything up, even if it's a fairly steep divot. So if you've got to drive through a lot of deep snow, it's hard to beat the TRX.
Those cliffs over there are in Utah. Right here, we're still in northern Arizona.
Shit.